Welcome to Town Talk, the official podcast of Summerville, South Carolina, where we bring you the latest news and incredible guests here within the town of Summerville. And I'm super excited for our second round with Cassie Ford, the tourism director for the Chamber of Commerce here in town. Cassie, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to have you back on the podcast. It's been, about a year, right?
It's been a year, yeah.
And so I think it was about time that we kind of reconnected and talked about tourism here in the town. So really, to start, I would love for you to just kind of give a little background on yourself again.
Sure.
For anyone who might have not watched the previous episode or might not know you, just a little bit of background about you.
Sure, yeah. So, as you said, I am the tourism director for the Chamber, and I've been in this role for almost 2 years now. I previously partnered with Tina Zimmerman, who was the previous tourism director, for a couple of years, and that was fantastic. That's it.
Yeah, so, last year we talked and we were talking about a lot of exciting things happening in tourism.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the big, Summerville and the Low Country as a whole, the Tri-County, it's a lot of people from all over the world come to our area and we love it, right?
Yeah.
So in 2024, what is the landscape of tourism here in our area as our guests are really kind of in the middle of this year at this point.
Yeah.
We're close.
So I would say that it's it's a very positive landscape. Obviously, our state is very popular. Like you said, the Low Country is very popular. Charleston named #1 best city in the world in the country, and that certainly helps us out. So I have a bunch of stats for you.
Yeah, name it all. I love stats. I know people love stats. So
okay, so we'll start with state level.
Okay.
And we're talking 2023, just because that's what we know for right now.
Yep.
It was another record year for tourism, $29 billion.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
That's the number for the tourism industry in South Carolina. It supports 1 in every 10 jobs, which is crazy to think about.
Wow.
Yep. And then it generates $1.8 billion in state and local taxes. So we're very busy in South Carolina as far as tourism goes. Very popular destination, and Summerville is too. So last year, Summerville collected $1.4 million in state and local accommodations tax.
Wow.
Which is a 15% increase from 2022. So that is awesome. It means what we're doing is working.
Yep.
And that's good news for our community's infrastructure and our services and just the general economy in our area. So we've been busy. At the Visitor Center last year, we welcomed 5,586 guests to the Visitor Center, like foot traffic. We mailed out 6,980 visitor guides, and then 449 relocation and visitor guide packets. So, we're on track to increase those numbers this year. So, positive, exciting.
That's incredible. Some of those numbers are absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And, in your opinion, you might be biased, right? Because Summerville, what is attractive? I mean, we kind of know, right? But just for maybe someone who's listening that hasn't even come to our area yet, or is looking to move here, what is it about Summerville and maybe the Low Country as a whole that makes tourism such a huge industry?
Yeah, I think a big part of it is physically where we are. We're 24 miles from Charleston. We're very close to beaches and all of those kinds of things. So you get that kind of coastal feel. We have a very cool small town vibe in the downtown area. We have a historic district. And then literally 5 minutes down the road, there's Nexton. And there's, all this building and modern amenities. And there's so much. Yeah. So we're not lacking for anything. It's a great spot.
Yeah, it really is. And I think when you look at it, there is so many different aspects to our area that make it so attractive. Like you said, there's the historic district. So in that town vibe, the small town vibe. When it comes to just great eating and things to do and festivals.
Oh, goodness, yes.
But there's shopping. You go to Azalea Square and go shopping with all those shops there, or even the small shopping areas here in Hutchinson. There's a lot going on.
Yes.
There really is.
Yes.
Now, as these years progress and how has tourism evolved over time? Like,
Yeah.
has it become more like looking at doing fun things, or is it more still like going to the beach? Like, how has tourism really evolved?
Gosh, well, I only know about the last couple of years because I've been
Hey,
in this role for that long.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard, from like shop owners downtown, it's changed a lot. I've heard people say, they've prayed for the kind of foot traffic that they have now, thanks to the visitors that we have here now. And, some people, I would say, are probably like, there's a lot of people here. It's kind of crowded and everything. But we have, as Diane Frankenberger has said, we have visitors and guests. We don't have tourists.
Yeah.
And I really think that that's a great way to look at it, because
I love that.
Truly, it's such a great way to look at it, because these people are coming here and they're experiencing this warm hospitality, and it's different. And everybody is just so respectful, and it's just different.
It really is. It really is different. And I remember coming into our area in Summerville area before I even worked for a town, when I moved here in 2016 while I was in school. And I remember the first time I came to Summerville, I actually studied at Capomata. I just brought my laptop and studied for one of my classes, and I was just looking for a place to kind of get away from campus, from CSU. And I just remember everyone was just so like, I was kind of eavesdropping on like some of the conversations, and everyone was just so nice.
Who doesn't do that?
Right? And like, I was like, this is a cool area. And so I started coming back. And I mean, granted, I was on campus at CSU, but there is something about it that is like the visitor guest outlook is, I think, spot on in my opinion. Now, when it comes to reaching to our visitors and guests, right? What are some of the techniques that you've used within this last year, and some things that you are looking to use to kind of reach them, whether it's physical or digital?
Okay. Well, I've got notes.
I love it.
So, I'll start with some traditional strategies.
Okay.
And these are things that we've either implemented this year for the first time, or we've been doing them for several years because they work.
Okay.
So digital strategies. First thing is keeping our brochures everywhere. And resources. So our maps. So we keep very large maps out on pads at hotels in Summerville. So when guests come and they check in, they can grab a map and know about all of the sites and things to do around here.
I love that.
Yep. Our brochures, which are our visitor guides, they are in the 9 welcome centers around the state.
That's crazy.
So if you ever stop in at a welcome center, check and see if Summerville is in stock. Make sure it is. It should be. And then you might see a couple of our door clings or window clings on a couple of those welcome centers.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. There's a QR code on there, so people traveling by can learn more about Summerville. And then we also have a delivery service that brings brochures out to the Charleston area in hotel lobbies and restaurants and stuff like that. So our brochures are everywhere.
And staying stocked.
Yes, and let me tell you, that's a whole job in itself.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
The second thing that we do is a lot of print advertising and then partnerships with magazines for editorials. So last year we ran ads in 12 magazines, and most of that was funded by a tourism advertising grant by PRT.
Okay.
So we're super thankful for that. So we also appeared in several print articles, magazines, newspapers, and then this year we're hoping to add billboards to the mix.
Oh, I love that.
So we'll see. It just depends on grant funding and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. And then the last thing is events and programs. So our Sweet Tea Trail, that is a big program that we run. It's got a whole bunch of stores and restaurants and sites all in the trail, and people can go through. It's like a passport and get stamps on their trail and trade in these guides for prizes up at the visitor center. So there's 36 stops on the trail. And so that just keeps the community engaged, and our visitors can see everything sweet tea related. And then the last thing is the sweet tea cocktail contest. That is something that we do that brings all of the bars together, and it's a great way for them to have the spotlight shown on them, and they can share their stories about how they're crafting these drinks, and it's just a really good time. That happens in September. So definitely do that if you can. Play bingo, get a t-shirt, and do the bar crawl. It's a good time.
We heard a lot of great things about that last year too.
Yeah.
People love it. And I think it's really cool how the local, restaurants and bars get together and collaborate on this little fun competition, right?
It's a competition, and then you get to try all of these cocktails.
Yeah, it's so cool how everyone comes together. And it's the same thing with all our different events that happen in town, whether it's y'all's events or other events going on in town. It's just everyone comes together.
Yeah.
It's back to that family-oriented way.
Community, and yes, for sure. And so, those are the traditional marketing things that I'm doing right now. And, as you said, it starts with community, and then we've got nationwide. So we're reaching the masses. And then moving on to digital, which I love. We rely heavily on our website, which is visitsomerville.com. Check it out.
Linked in the bio.
And this is how we provide resources for our visitors and even our locals. So our locals really like to use this. And everything that you could possibly want to know about places to eat and stay and play and things to do is on the website. You can also request a free visitor guide on there. We have blogs on there, an event calendar. If you are a local business or an organization that has events that tourists might like, feel free to submit your calendar, your event on the calendar. That's visitsomerville.com/events. So we can put it out there and people can know about your event. Social media and content creation is another big one. Our social media accounts have been growing like crazy. And then also we've done a targeted Facebook ad campaign this past spring that reached over 500,000 people, million or so impressions, click-through rate of over 3%, which is good for industry standards.
It really is really good. That's impressive.
I know, patting myself on the back. I'm just kidding. But it resulted in 27,000 clicks to the website, which is fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yes. So that was a great campaign, and just our online presence is super important. So we're always staying on top of that. And by the way, social media, we are at Visit Summerville everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, all the things. So
yes, and we'll also have that linked in the bio if anyone wants to go give them a follow. They have an incredible page, and it's really it's a fun one to follow. And the content you guys push out is always just fun to watch or look at. But it's incredible the numbers that you shared when it comes to the website, and digital media is the number one way of marketing really now in 2024, and being able to do it effectively is important, especially for a visitor center, right?
Yes.
So what are some challenges you saw within, I would say, I think there's challenges within traditional, but when it comes to digital specifically, what are some challenges you face within digital?
Oh, goodness. I would say the first challenge is staying on top of the trends and staying on top of changes with privacy and all of that kind of stuff. I think that's the biggest thing. Sure, it's fun to be creative, but having to do things right is most important. And so, that's the biggest.
No, it makes sense. There is a trial and error aspect when it comes to marketing and on digital. Like, try things and it doesn't work. Don't do it again.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to be strategic and thoughtful about some of the.
And the other thing is, catering to different demographics. And so, a lot of our older folks. And when I say older, I mean like people my age probably and up. prefer maybe Facebook for certain things and then Instagram for certain things. And some people are on TikTok for certain things. So, it's having the same message, but a little different for each platform. And so that can be a challenge sometimes, but...
No, it is a challenge. I mean, even for the town's pages, if anyone didn't know, I am the one that runs the town's pages too. So it's the PIO is a role of many things. But the one thing I have to agree. I mean, you look at the different pages, and there is different demographics for them. And Facebook, for sure, I find to be the most successful for our town of Summerville for all things. Now, my big thing is getting more of our information, at least from the town's perspective, to the younger audience, right? And the best way I'm doing, because we can't go on TikTok,
right?
So the best thing we do is probably Instagram is number one, really, for that. But I think you know better than anyone else those demographics, and I think we are very lucky to have someone like you in our town who is looking at the strategy behind all those different things and making sure we're maximizing it.
Yes.
Because that's important too, because it's not just going on your phone and posting something, shooting it away and be like, all right, I'm good.
You might see a piece of content, but you didn't know that there was, 3 days worth of brainstorming and then planning to go film and then writing a caption and copywriting and all of the keywords and blah, blah, blah. I mean,
it's a job in itself. It's a job in itself. And so, definitely anyone's listening, if you know someone who works in digital media marketing, definitely, buy them a Chick-fil-A lunch someday or something.
They're stressed.
They're working hard. That's for sure. Now, when it comes, but it's rewarding too.
It totally is.
It really is.
And it's effective.
It really is.
That's why it's worth the time.
Because when you post something and you see that the community is really eating it up and it's really helped the community, it's incredible.
Oh, for
it's
sure.
Incredible.
My favorite thing is when I'll post something and somebody says, I remember when my grandmother lived right down the street and we used to walk down and we used to go get an ice cream at Garen's and sit in the park. Those, I could never come up with those. That's community, and that's, it's just love for Summerville. I love that so much. That's my favorite.
Yes, so please be interactive with their pages, our pages. We love interaction. It just makes the content so much better, and it makes the folks who are working very hard behind the scenes very happy, as you can tell.
No, but guests reading it, they love to see that that the town loves its community.
It really does. It really does. We're a family here.
That's why we're so attractive.
100%. And it's to the people. And to switch gears, I think we have the visitor center. We talked about folks who come in. You had probably a little over 5,000. Was it 5,000 folks who've come over?
Oh, yes.
So what's the strategy behind that? How do you guys handle our visitors coming in to the visitor center? What are some things that our visitors and our guests can look forward to when they come to the visitor center?
Okay, so the first thing when you come in is you have to come and get some sweet tea.
Yes,
it's
they
a must.
always have some.
Especially if you're traveling like from up north and you haven't had sweet tea yet, you have to come try some sweet tea. But really the biggest thing is the warm, friendly face that you're going to see behind the desk, who is full of knowledge, there to help you get to wherever you're wanting to go. We've got a whole wall of brochures. We've got maps. They can answer any question you have about the area. And, whether it's you're visiting or you're planning to relocate, or if you're just doing some research about maybe relocating, they can point you in the right direction.
No, it's true. I think it's very welcoming in here. So if you haven't come in here yet, really come check it out. It's awesome in here. There's a ton of different brochures of different things that happen in town and in our area. So come check it out.
Yes, as a local, I would encourage everybody to come in at some point, especially if you are a grandparent or you have kids, we're getting ready to come into the summer. Come in, pick up a couple of brochures, and I guarantee you're going to learn some new things about our town and We have like the bird scavenger hunt that you can take your kids on. There's walking tours that you can go on. There's plenty to do right here in your own town that you might have never even heard about. So definitely come in.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, talking about, kind of switching back into the marketing towards our potential visitors and guests. What are some strategies that you put into place in some ways that you go about your day-to-day when it comes to maybe, like you said, to planning a social media post, putting it all together? Walk through that whole process for our listeners and watchers, because I think that they might be a little interested to hear how that whole process goes.
Goodness. Well, to zoom out, I would say that we kind of have these big rocks. If you think of the container of tourism as like a bucket, we have these big rocks. And those are things like the Flower Town Festival, the Sweet Tea Festival. They are like just these immovable things that we're going to promote, porch stroll, all that kind of stuff. And I would say even attractions. So like attractions and things to do and see based on the seasons. So live windows display and tree lighting. Springtime is another one. So those are all of our kind of immovable things. And they are the big rocks that fill up this bucket. And then there are these smaller rocks that fill up some more space. And they're things like each of the stops on the Sweet Tea Trail. They are things like some tidbits of history and food and just things like that. And they fill up this more space in this bucket. Yeah. And, the idea is to fill up this bucket, obviously. Yep. And the big rocks, they're going to take up the most of your time and the most of your energy. And so once you have a full bucket, obviously, then you kind of have to place it all out on a calendar and figure out how you're going to go about promoting each of these things. Yeah. And so from there, it's kind of like, okay, well, what works best for promoting springtime in Summerville just in general? And typically that's been like magazine ads like Southern Living, and it's kind of lifestyle and stuff like that. And it could also be blog posts that shoot off of that, like 20 things to do in the spring in Summerville. And then from there, let's say it was a blog post, then we break that down into social media posts and videos and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. There's so much to it. I could go on and on.
So let's go with, all right, you have an idea for a social media post.
Yeah.
All right, the idea comes. What happens next?
I put it in a list in my notes app because typically I'm not ready to do the idea right then. And if I don't put it in my notes app, it's gone forever.
Okay, that's fair. Listen, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
That's a good tip, actually. So never forget.
And I'm always having ideas. My brain is just always going with brainstorming and stuff. So my notes app is super important. And then when I'm looking for things, and a lot of times it'll be seasonally related. And so I'll kind of break it all down and then figure out a place where it could go in the future and start the coordinating if there needs to be any coordinating done. But yeah. No,
I love that.
The Notes app is the best.
Yes. It really is being able to, I think the listeners know because I'm not afraid to talk about it. I have ADHD, so I'm all over the place sometimes, and it works. It's a superpower of mine. I always like to say it's a superpower, but the one thing is if I don't, I learned at a young age that if I have something that comes to my head and I do not jot it down, it's gone. Yep. It's gone and never coming back.
I understand the feeling.
And so, the Notes app, putting that, I agree 100%. Speaking of that, you're always pushing out content, but Summerville's really unique because we have the historical aspect to it with the modern day kind of vibe as well, right? It's kind of come together. How do you balance that, right? When it comes to promoting your content, how do you balance that historical versus the modern?
honestly, I just try to keep a decent mix of everything.
Yeah.
I find that you're not going to hit the same groups of people with the same kind of content every time, and that's okay. Not every piece of content is going to appeal to everybody, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And so for me, really, it is just sharing everything about Summerville. I know that food stuff does really well, but
Always.
we cannot be a food account every time. Even though it gets all of the, feel good likes and comments and all that kind of stuff, we just need to represent Summerville well and to the fullest. And so it's just a balance, honestly.
Yeah. And so I'm interested to hear your answer on this, because I'm sure there's someone listening who's interested on entering the field that you do for a career, right? What are some tips that you would give someone who is interested in entering your career path, especially with the younger folk who are coming up and in school that, who grew up with social media, who grew up in digital media, and that's a lot of folks are wanting to get into that realm.
Yeah.
What are some tips that you have for them?
Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, first,
have a notes app. Have a notes app.
No. Let me back up just a little bit, and I'll just say this. So my title is tourism director, but one of my biggest roles is marketing.
Yeah.
It really is. And so if somebody is wanting to go into hospitality, like hospitality tourism, I would say go get, a hospitality degree and, get all of the certifications on all of that kind of stuff if that's what you want to be doing. If you're wanting to do marketing, it's such a fast-moving industry that I think that, you could do well to get a degree in communications or something like that and marketing, but just know that a lot of the stuff you're going to learn might be outdated by the time you graduate. And
it changes.
Yeah.
It changes. Yeah.
And that's just what I've heard from people who have graduated.
It's realistic. It's realistic because I graduated with a comms degree and with a minor in marketing.
Right.
Did I ever anticipate going in government communications?
Yeah.
Not at all.
Right.
But that's the thing with comms.
Yes.
It's a very broad.
It's broad, and you just need experience. So find something that you like and go get experience.
So if you are, say someone's listening, they are in a communications with a marketing minor kind of realm.
Yeah.
All you need to do is maybe start taking some hospitality, classes or extra courses, or go get a certification in that to kind of build, and then maybe get an internship.
Yes.
And start building your resume, and that it's the same thing in government communications.
Yeah.
Once I found that, actually, no, it kind of just came to my lap. I did not train to get.
You got thrown in there.
I really did, honestly, but
no, but you had the skills, that's what it is. I think it's really honing in some skills that are transferable across different industries, and then just getting the experience. And let's say you work one place and you're like, I didn't really like that.
Yep.
And turn somewhere else.
Yep.
You probably can build those transferable skills, and everything else, is just nuanced. So, yeah. It's
true. And I think what you do is very unique, especially when it comes to the tourism aspect. And I think a lot of people in our area who are studying in our area are intrigued in that realm.
Yeah.
So if there's anyone that has any further questions, are you welcome to email
sure.
you? And
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and we'll share her email, Cassie's email. And so if you have any questions, feel free to give her a shout out, and she can help you in this career, because this is a very important role. Yeah. Tourism, and Summerville specifically, because we are biased to Summerville. But, here in the Low Country and the Tri-County area as a whole, it's a very important role, because we want to make sure our visitors and guests feel welcomed, and we help them navigate their trip and their stay and make it as easy as possible.
Yes.
Why is that important? Because one, it allows them to have the best stay that they could possibly have. But two, it helps our residents and our homeowners, because there's not going to be a lot of tourists that are lost.
Yes.
Right? They're not going to be lost on the roads or anything like that, because we have incredible tourism folks working in our area that help guide these folks who are visiting our area to prepare.
Yeah.
And so it's such an important role. So thank you for what you do. Now, one thing, we talk about some of the big events that happen. What are some of the less known attractions here in Summerville that you would like to share for our community or our listeners?
Okay, so attractions wise, I could go on and on about that. Let's see. Public Works Art Center is a great one.
Yeah.
They have so many people going in every single day. And a lot of those people, from what I've been told, are just walking by and they happen to go in. It's free, so you have no reason to go in, not to go in. I mean. So that's a cool place. Azalea Park, kind of famous. Have to check that out.
Especially when the azaleas are blooming.
For sure. Colonial Dorchester is a very cool spot. Great history. Another one would be the Summerville Museum.
I can't talk much. I just went to they just did a rededication for Saul Alexander. I went to the rededication, and they have a new I'm going to give them a shout out because they work hard. They work hard over there at the museum. They have a new paleontology exhibit. They only have it for a year.
Okay.
So
talk about things to do for the summer with your kids.
It's incredible. I'm a huge shark teeth guy, and if you know Summerville, you find a lot of shark teeth in Summerville too.
Yes.
And that's a whole different conversation.
Oh, yeah.
But
and that brings tourists too.
Yes, it really does. But go check them out. They're doing a lot of great work over there, sharing our history here in Summerville.
Yeah.
But do you ever work with those entities in the area to kind of collaborate on maybe different social media posts and stuff like that?
Yeah. So a lot of times, what I'll do is I'll pop in and film and but then there are other ones that are on the Sweet Tea Trail, and so we're obviously collaborating all the time, getting them more of our if you're watching on YouTube, our trail guides.
You got a trail guide.
Yeah.
Oh, I might have to steal one.
Okay. Not this one because it's mine. I have stamps in it. You can't steal my stamps.
No, absolutely not.
But yes, we're always collaborating. And anytime they have an event going on, I'm sharing their event. It's on our website, on the calendar. And if I can share it on social media, then I will. So yeah.
That's awesome. It's that collaboration aspect. I mean, y'all's the visitor centers and the tourism website, Visit Summerville, is our visitor tab on the town's page as well, because we work hand in hand between the town and the visitor center. And like you talked about earlier, y'all's website is very useful. I use it on a daily basis.
Really?
I do. For the things I do for my role as the PIO, I use it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It helps me understand different aspects of the town that maybe it's not on our website.
Right.
So it's an incredible website.
It's very resourceful.
Yes, for sure. Now, to bring this train home, 2024, I asked this question at the end of our last podcast, and the next 2024 or 2024 and 2025 going into this next period, how do you see tourism, changing within that time, and what are some things that maybe our listeners and watchers can look forward to when it comes to what y'all are doing?
Yeah. So I would say that we're going to have more events and more collaborations with our community partners. And so, definitely take part in the Bar Crawl Sweet Tea Cocktail Contest that's going to happen in September. Be on the lookout for the porch stroll where you can come and experience the historic bed and breakfast here in town. There's so many things that are coming up. We've got our regular festivals like those big rocks that I talked about earlier. And there's just new things happening all the time. So we have a new beer brewery. There we go. There's the word. It just popped up. It's Godwin's.
Right
next to Coastal. No, I don't know if they're officially open yet, but I know that their website, social media is live. So
they're pushing. They're getting there.
Yeah, they're getting there. And our town is just always changing, and so I'm always trying to share what's new, share what's up and coming. So yeah, there's a lot happening in our town. It's busy.
It's always busy.
Yeah.
We love it. No, if like I said earlier, please give Cassie's pages and the visitor center's pages a follow. Visit Summerville. We'll have it linked. It's very resourceful. Every day you'll be able to kind of keep up to date on what's going on from a tourism side, from an enjoyment side. The town's pages we try to share as much of that fun stuff as possible, but it's town dedicated, and it is a government page, but when it comes to y'all's, you can get a little bit more fun and unique when it comes to what you push. So definitely I 100% recommend giving y'all's pages
Come
a
and
follow.
chat with us.
Yes, for sure. Before we go our separate ways, do you have anything else you would like to share for the sake of the conversation?
Sure. So I will say that if you're traveling down I-95 on the 19th, come and say hello to me at the Welcome Center. I will be there to help kick off National Travel and Tourism Week.
Okay. May 19th?
Yes, it's a Sunday. So if you just happen to be traveling, come pop in. We've got some sweet tea donated by the Summerville Chick-fil-A. I'll be handing out some coloring pages and crayons. That. And yeah, so that's how we're going to kick off the week.
Awesome, awesome.
There's one more thing.
Yeah.
June 10th. That is National Sweet Tea Day. So we're going to have several restaurants here in town giving out sweet tea, free sweet tea with a purchase. And then the restaurants, if they have like a sweet tea related item, we'll be highlighting that. So you can have a sweet tea day on June 10th.
That's so cool. That's so cool. June 10th. So May 19th. And June 10th. So mark your calendars.
Those are the up and coming things.
So looking forward to that. But Cassie, thank you so much for taking the time. I like to, definitely want to reconvene and redo our podcast every year to kind of get updates on like the numbers you shared, right?
Yeah,
I think those are really cool to share with our community in a not so formal way, right? We could just have a conversation about it. But I appreciate you taking the time, and I appreciate everything you do for our town. It doesn't go unnoted. And I think we are very lucky to have someone like Cassie in our town who's pushing really hard to make our visitors and guests feel welcomed and cared for and have the best visit that they can have here in our area. So thank you so much. Glad to do it.
And it takes a team. So we've got the visitor center and everybody else.
Incredible people out here. And please come visit. Please come send them an email. Come say hi to them. Yes. They are absolutely always welcome, and they always have sweet tea available, like she said. So, but until next time, thank you so much. And everything we talked about, we'll have it linked in the bio. But thank you. Until next time. Awesome. Thank you.